What year did the band form?
Around 1982, 83. And we say 83 pretty much, like I said, because that's when we started playing shows like out of town. So there was versions of it almost, before 82, but 83 is like when it kind of had a solid three-piece lineup and we started playing some shows and staying into the name No Fraud and playing like not just in Venice, all around Florida.
Right. Where does the name No Fraud come from?
It came from, as a sort of saying, we were trying to figure out a name. That's one of the reasons why that 82, 83 thing came out, because we were trying to pick a name, and whenever we were just playing shows without even a name, and then we started looking at the lyrics, like, I guess because we were kind of conscious of, like, okay, well, we don't just want to be a band, a name like, Journey, that's a cool name, like you're saying, like, oh, we're journeying through life, or whatever, but it was kind of, I don't know, we want to be a little more direct. Like, No Fraud is, although it's two negatives, it's kind of a positive, it's like, no and fraud equals, like, a positive statement, but we were kind of trying to say, like, we mean something more than just some punk band that's going to be like, I hate your dog, and, and your mom.
Right.
We were trying to, like, say, hey, we're trying to say something here, like, about ourselves, about society, about you, about me, which is, the two previous statements, but, and so we really thought about it, and jokingly, I think somebody said something about Freud, about, because, like, some of the lyrics are obviously sociology and psychology oriented, and somehow out of that, over a night of chaos, came, like, No Fraud or something, and it just stuck.
How has the scene changed since you started?
Well, I mean, in the beginning, where we're from, there was nobody. It was just like 5 of us.
Right.
We were our own scene. Yeah. But as time went on, I mean, from skateboarding and surfing or whatever and things like that, just like meeting people through that and meeting people to go into like big punk shows. Like, I mean, back then, for us, the only shows we heard about where we were like, say, like the Ramones or something. And we came up and then we met people. And I mean, the only cool thing about then as opposed to now that I would say is neat, I guess would be the best word I could use at the moment, was because you go to a show, a punk show, and there would be like 5 bands, but every band was actually really different. Like one was kind of like a goth punk band, it was all slow, and different people followed that band, but yet they all came to the show and they all listened and participated. Like maybe even buy your tape, like oh, I kind of like you guys, you were neat, and so they check you out. But now, it'd be like, now there's like straight edge emo, and then there's emo, and then there's pop emo.
There's too many labels.
Yeah, like each what was a piece of punk is splintered again. And I mean, that's okay. I mean, it's neat because you get all these things, but one thing I always remind people is they're like, well, you guys didn't invent it, or they'll say this about like emo or something, and be like, well, you know what, we experimented in that, and we decided we didn't like it. I mean, that's why people didn't play it. Like people are like, well, you don't play jazz funk with horn ska, and it's like, you know why nobody played that? Because it sucks. Because it sucks. That's why nobody played it then. Now people are playing it because there's nothing else left to play to be original. And I see their problem, but at the same time, I'm like, well, then don't play in a band. Like, do something different. Like, I mean, I'm not the biggest electronic music fan, but at least people were like, well, people have done all this stuff with instruments. Let's take samplers and drum machines and we'll make our own kind of weird music. And for that, I have total respect for them, because at least they did something that was different, So, yeah, I think the scene's divided maybe a little too much, but at the same time it's neat because, people are experimenting. And I would say some of the experiments have already been tried, and the reason people didn't follow them is because it just didn't work, like Chuck Berry still sounds good because it's fucking cool, man. It was a good idea, it was an original idea of rock and roll, and that's why people stick with things that are good, You drive a car, it works. You don't like buy a car with 3.5 wheels because it's different. You buy a car with 4 wheels because it's a car with 4 wheels. It works.
Exactly.
So.
When I first met you, it was through pen paling. Do you still write pen pals?
Yeah, obviously nowadays it's more internet oriented than it snail mailing and a lot of interneting as compared to that. We're sitting on Greg's car. No, you're fine. Baseman. But yeah, I still try to do a lot of that. I don't do as much as I did, but people don't do as much as they used to, you know?
Right.
It's not, once again, another thing that changed about the scene. It's become a little more like, obviously commercial, you know, but it was, that was one of the, I mean, I like that a lot. That's how one of the things I really dug about it is like you actually have a real involvement with somebody and learn a little bit about their life and how it compared to your life and their life, and hopefully they were doing the same thing, and then you realize like, whoa, you know, like the world's not as big as it seems and it's out of control. I mean, although it is, but at least you realize like that person feels that way and they live like 90 miles from me, and so, I mean, the internet viewed quicker and faster, but I see more due to the commercialism of punk rock. I definitely see a little lack of, and you're gonna have that. You're gonna lose some of the personal, the persona of it's one-on-one.
What happened with being arrested at the bull run in Spain?
The true story of the bull running in Spain. Well, Welch wasn't there, but he was in spirit. We need a copy of that videotape.
Yeah, I'll give you one.
Cool.
I actually write for ADD. With Dave, he knows you. He was supposed to come out, but I don't know why he didn't come out here.
Eric Kamal, nice to meet you, man. Yeah, we got the DRI show.
I'm the one that did videotape the DRI show.
Really? You got it? Yeah, we got it in the merch box. Sweet. Metal. I don't have the keys. Beth has the keys. Just send them here. I'll watch them. I'm not going anywhere.
The true story of the...
Alright, true story of Babylon. So I became unemployed while I was out in California and decided that I was drinking some sangria or wine or something one night, and it was like 2 weeks before the running of the Bulls, and I was like, I'm fucking going to Spain and I'm gonna run the Bulls. So I get it all worked out on the, which I found out was really lucky because you usually can't book it like that quick. So I go to France with a friend of mine, an old friend from like bump shows. We go to France and we go around to France for like a week. It was really cool. And I thought France was gonna be all shitty, but France ended up being like really cool.
Alright.
And then met some punks and stuff, and then went to Spain. And as soon as we got into Spain, I heard like, you know, there's a real big Basque like punk movement, like they're separatists, they want autonomy. And so, and she knew some of them, so we hooked up. Like immediately within days, I'm like, some of these Basque guys are kind of like skinheads. You know, like their whole scene is they're really white, and they don't like people from the south of Spain coming up here and working because they definitely do come up there and migrate to get jobs. But also those people are like full-on Moors, and you know they have darker skin, so they just immediately are segregated. So I'm like, hey, not that I'm dark, but especially then I had fucking full-on tan, and they were just like, I'd walk in, they're like full-on pure white, no hair. I come in, I got like fucking crazy hair and dark skin, and they're like, who's this guy? You know, one of those things. So I was like, whoa, I thought France was gonna be fucking weird and all snotty and shit. And France was all like, yeah, let's hang out, and let's party, and where are you from, and what's going on? And here I find Spain, which I thought was gonna be the really cool place. All of a sudden, immediately it was like, give me the fucking hard one.
Need help, dude? You got it?
Yeah, I got that. All you gotta do is ask, right? Oh, don't worry. So, and I was wearing sandals and shit, just walking around, and
That's mine.
no problem. And walking around, and people were like looking at me like I'm some fucking gypsy bum because I'm wearing sandals instead of shoes, or leather nice leather sandals. So I got all weird, and then so we finally get to Pamplona, and we go to run the Bulls, and we met some friends, and so there's like a little group of us, and we go there. Very first day, they don't run the Bulls in the morning. They have like a huge party with a food fight and champagne spraying, and it's just out of control. Like thousands of people running around. So we get involved in that, and I had like one beer and drank a little bit of champagne, and we went through all this chaos and everything, and I walked over to where there's a huge obelisk that everybody jumps off of, like a little tower. And so we're checking that out, we walk over to this fast you get punk bar. So we go over there, we're in this punk bar hanging out, drink some another beer. So now I'm up to 2 beers and some champagne. Walk back out to check out. Now everybody's in the square, jumping, it's going crazy. There's a food fight, we're throwing beans at each other and stuff. And all of a sudden my friend goes like, hey, look out, man. I think they're looking at you. She's like, I've never seen riot police here before. And then I got the full fucking plastic face mask and, fucking shit on them in billy clubs. And I kind of see them over my shoulder, but they're way on the edge of the crowd. And it's a huge square, and the cops have all lined up in one side of the square. Right. And we're kind of in the middle, right next to the police. So we're standing there looking at them, and I'm going they're way over there. And I turn around and I throw a big string green bean at someone, and they're throwing it back at us, we're all laughing. And it's mostly